Have you ever looked at your paycheck and just thought, where did all my money go? It feels like it just vanishes, right? Well, today, we're going to get to the bottom of it all. We're going to break down the, let's face it, pretty confusing world of taxes using a super simple story about a monkey and his bananas.
Okay, so picture this. You've got our hero, this really hard-working monkey. He spends all day picking 10 delicious bananas. He's ready to kick back and enjoy the fruits of his labor, literally. But then, bam! The monkey government swoops in and takes 3 of them. Just gone. And the monkey's just left there, totally confused, a little bit angry. And that feeling of, wait, what just happened to my stuff? That's exactly what we're diving into.
Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds super unfair. But, it actually points to a fundamental rule of, well, any economy, really. There's this quote from the very smart Carl Jung, a very smart monkey in our story, who said, "Everything changes. And in the jungle of economics, that is so true. The rules about who gets what and how many bananas they get to keep are always shifting. And guess what the main tool for changing those rules is? Yep, taxes."
All right, so let's follow the bananas. Where's the first place our monkey stash starts to shrink? Well, it's the most common one, the one we all know and maybe don't love. It's the tax on your work.
Okay, so let's say in this jungle, leaves are the currency. Our monkey goes out and earns 100 leaves. Nice! But here's the kicker. Before he even gets to touch that full pile, the government reaches in and takes its share. This is a really important point. It happens before he can go and spend it. So right off the bat, his spending power for bananas or whatever else is already lower.
And this first big chunk they take, that's what we call income tax. You can kind of think of it as, the membership fee for living in an organized jungle. It's the price of admission for being part of a system that, at least in theory, is supposed to protect you and provide for everybody.
So you're probably asking, okay, fine, they take my leaves, but where do they go? Well, the government has an answer for that. They say it's all for the good of the troop. They use it to build stronger, better vines so everyone can get around easier. That's infrastructure. They use it to protect the jungle from, scary bears. That's defense. And they even use it to pay for dealings with other jungles through something like a world trade orangutan. All right, our monkey's a little lighter on leaves, but he's got what's left, and he heads off to the market to finally buy some stuff. But, surprise, the government isn't quite done with him yet. And this brings us to the second challenge, taxes on your stuff.
This one's called sales tax, and you've definitely seen this before. It's that little extra bit that gets added on right at the end. So the banana on the shelf says it costs 1 leaf, but when our monkey gets to the checkout, suddenly the total is a little more. And where does that extra bit go? You guessed it, straight to the government.
And here's where things get a little fancy. You'll sometimes hear this called an ad valorem tax. I know, it sounds super complicated and important, right? But it's just a fancy monkey term that means the tax is a percentage of whatever you're buying. It's a classic move. Give it a complicated name, but at the end of the day, it just means you're paying more.
Okay, things are about to get even more interesting. Our monkey, you see, he's developed a taste for the finer things in life. He doesn't just want any old local banana. No, he wants one of those special, exotic bananas from a whole different jungle. And that decision? Well, that leads him right into our third challenge. This is where we run into something called a tariff. What's a tariff? It's basically an extra tax that the government slaps on anything coming in from outside their jungle. So that really delicious and maybe even cheaper banana from Bananaland, the second it crosses the border, boom, it gets more expensive.
But why? Why would the government do that? It seems kind of mean, right? Well, it's all about strategy. It's a big trade-off. See, those bananas from Bananaland, they might be tastier, they might be cheaper, but they're competing with the monkeys who grow bananas right here at home. So by adding that tariff, the government is trying to level the playing field. They make the foreign stuff more expensive, hoping you'll buy local and support your own jungle's economy.
Okay, let's pull the camera back a bit, because in the modern jungle, it's not just about earning leaves and buying bananas anymore. Oh no, things get way more complicated. Some monkeys get clever. They start looking for ways to get around the government's rules. And that leads to a whole new level of complexity and consequences for everybody. So, for example, some monkeys might start using something like crypto. Trying to keep their leaves off the official system. They track all their deals on some decentralized big rock, hoping the government just won't be able to see it. And you can imagine this creates a huge headache for the government trying to collect its taxes. And this whole situation is just a perfect picture of our world today. The jungle economy isn't some slow-growing vine anymore.
It's a full-on rocket-powered roller coaster. Things like crypto pop up so fast that governments are left playing catch-up, just scrambling to figure out what the new rules should even be.
So what happens if the government isn't getting enough leaves from taxes? Well, it has another tool in its toolbox. It's a very powerful one, but it's also really dangerous. It's called inflation. Basically, the government can just create more leaves, print them out of thin air. The problem? The more leaves you have floating around, the less each individual leaf is actually worth. It's like your whole pile of savings could suddenly be as useless as a soggy banana peel. Poof. Value gone.
Okay, so let's recap. The government takes your leaves when you earn them. They take more leaves when you spend them. And if they want, they can even just make the leaves you've saved worth less. When you look at it all laid out like that, it's pretty easy to start wondering, is the monkey government evil? Is this whole system just rigged against the little guy?
All right, let's wrap this up. We've seen all these different ways the government gets its hands on bananas and leaves. So what's the big idea? What's the point of it all?
Well, if you ask the government, the reasons are a bit of a mixed bag. They'll point to all the good stuff, like protecting endangered apes and helping out the little guy, the small banana stands, but they also use all those leaves as bargaining chips in big political negotiations. So it's not just one thing. It's this complicated mix of doing good for the public and, playing power politics.
And hey, before you run off to start your own crypto jungle or launch a trade war, we have to say something really important. This is just an explainer, okay? It is absolutely not financial advice. The monkey is just a monkey, so please, don't sue the monkey.
But at the end of the day, it all boils down to one really powerful idea. The whole philosophy behind taxes, the reason it exists in the first place is this: the troop is stronger when everyone chips in. A single monkey trying to build a vine or fight off a bear, that's tough. But when everyone contributes a little bit to the group, you can build amazing things and protect everyone. It's that classic idea: apes together strong.
And so that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. We get the why, right? We understand it's for building things, for protection, for the good of the group. But the real debate, the one that drives pretty much all of politics and economics, is this: how many bananas should they take? What's the right amount? That's the question I'll leave you with.